let's get started. Welcome everyone to joining our cmBuilder product update and customer spotlight event. We've decided to go vertical with this one, so we've got Canada represented, the United States, all the way down to Brazil, the whole all the Americas for today focused. So really excited to get started. A couple housekeeping items. If you have questions, pop them in the chat. Nikon is going to be working the chat. We'll either interject throughout and ask the questions, or we'll have 5 minutes at the end to do some questions. So if you have questions, just throw it in the chat. Nikon will kind of triage from there. And then, so we're going to dive right in with some introductions. So first, I'd like to introduce Waldemar Castro from Turner Construction in Southern California. Recently moved over to the dark side as a VDC engineer, but after many years as a superintendent in the field. Has been with the company for almost 8 years and has a construction management engineering management degree from Long Beach State. Welcome, Waldemar. Hello. We also have Karla Firth from Graham Construction up here in Canada. We're Canadian, so we're gonna play, we'll play the Canadian card. Karla is based in Edmonton. She's a VDC engineer with the company for almost the last 15 years and previously came from the field as a surveyor. And it's neat I know what she's got cooking up, so it's neat to combine the surveying and the technology side, which is fantastic. So welcome, Karla.
Thank you.
We also have Lucas Fukuda, BIM manager from Reta Engenharia. How did my pronunciation go? My Portuguese is a little sloppy these days. That's okay.
That's perfect.
Okay, been with the company for 4 years and an architect by trade. Really excited to have you representing South America. Welcome, Lucas.
Thanks, guys. It's an honor to be here.
And batting cleanup, Shannon DeVon from Shiel, Sexton, director of VDC at Shiel, Sexton. Been with the company for almost 14 years and had some stops at other large prominent firms in the Midwest. Also a degree from the Purdue Boilermakers. Go Boilermakers.
Been Boiler up.
Years. There you go. Welcome, Shannon.
Thank you, Javier.
Okay, so as an agenda for today, we're going to start with the presentations from our panelists. So each panelist is going to go through about 10 minutes, show some projects, talk shop. Again, if you have questions that are spurred from the presentations, pop them in the chat. And then Cal and I on the cmBuilder side are going to take the last 10, 15 minutes before questions, and we're going to show you some of the newest and latest stuff that we're cooking up inside the cmBuilder platform. So without further ado, I'm going to pass it to Waldemar. Take it away. The floor is yours.
Hey, what's up, everybody? Good morning, or whatever side of the world you're on. So first off, I wanted to take a second to thank Javier and the cmBuilder team. Appreciate you guys allowing us a little chance here to share some of our work. As Javier mentioned, I've been with Turner now about 8 years. My role is a little bit hybrid, so I do superintending and VDC. So I get to touch two of the aspects that I like the most about construction, and I really enjoy that. So let me share what we got going here. So currently Turner, we partnered up with cmBuilder around December. So we're a little bit newer to the platform. And you wouldn't know it though. We hit the ground running hard. We have 3 active jobs we're currently coordinating with cmBuilder. And the really neat thing is they're all different sizes, completely different focuses. So that really shows, some of the versatility that we're able to get out of the program. And, ultimately the end goal, whether it be small or big, we want to deliver a quality product that's on time and on budget, but also most importantly, built safely. So cmBuilder is helping us put some planning together, and really it's bringing a lot of context to some of the stuff that we were doing before. So this project here that I'm sharing is from a client of ours, Memorial Care. This is the Saddleback campus over in Laguna Hills. So what we've currently been tasked to do here is we're going to be replacing their central utility plant. So we're demoing out the existing and then, bringing in a new utility plant here in the green area. So that's a pretty unique technical project. A lot of consideration is going into how we're going to maintain operation to the campus during the demo. There's a lot of, I mean, obviously the central plant's feeding all the existing buildings. So kind of our main focus and our approach is how do we build this project and minimize the impact to the existing building and the hospital that they, need to keep going. Let me see here. So initially, this team approached the VDC group because they have a pretty demanding owner and they wanted to try to bring some of these deliverables to life. So timing worked out pretty perfect because we had just, signed up and, voila, now we have a way to do that pretty quickly and efficiently. So we've introduced the platform to the team, and, it was pretty cool because they've been really receptive to it, and they're actually taking it on from here on out to the end of the job. So they're going to be using it for their coordination effort. And I think that's one of the things that kind of differentiates cmBuilder from some of the other platforms that we've been using. A lot of times the field can't, it's just too technical, too advanced in the programming side of it. So luckily with cmBuilder, we've been able to easily integrate it and, have them carry it on from there. So it's quickly becoming, one of the more popular tools that we're using for planning, simply because it's just so easy to do. Prior to cmBuilder, we were doing similar deliverables in other platforms that, were taking us a lot more time to generate. So now that we're able to do it a lot quicker, it's helped out tremendously. And I think a big part of, the success in planning a job, especially for Turner, is to do with defining the risk and then really putting a plan in place to mitigate that as early as possible. So I was actually just having a call with one of our superintendents out in Indianapolis, who was also kind of looking at this tool. And, that it was really evident from the conversation that we had that by being able to use the Google Maps and, bring more context and more just information into one place, that you can quickly see, where the downfalls, where the pitfalls are going to be on a construction project. So that's really what we like about it. So on this project in particular, one of the views that spoke a lot to us was this here utility view. So we took some GPR scans that we did of the existing and created this underground utility model that you see in this hole here. And really it helped us identify all these different, pieces of work that we're going to have to sequence and figure out before we can even really start putting in this new building in place. So it's really, been instrumental in helping us plan for this one here. Because prior to this, we really weren't sure, what was under there. So it's been an easy way to, get that information, and especially out into the, the hands of the people that are actually going to build the work. Um, so yeah, I mean, I'll kind of play the sequence for you guys real quick so you can check it out from start to finish. We're still working on the timeline, so don't hold me to any of those dates just yet.
You can hide those dates next time if you need to. There's a setting for that. Nice.
Gotcha.
You got some animations there. Cool. You got some trucks driving. Looks good.
Yeah, like I said, we've been able to really incorporate a lot of the different parts and pieces that we don't have time to do, you know, when we're doing this in other platforms. So yeah, it's been very, very fun.
I have a question while this is playing. So before you
Yes.
did that, with like obviously the 3D capabilities of excavation, trenching, and locating those like existing conditions. What were you doing before? Kind of just marking stuff up in say Bluebeam or something like that with 2D, or how did you guys kind of look at it previously?
Yeah, a lot of the civil work ends up being 2D, you know, overlays, whether it be using Google Earth or in Bluebeam. Honestly, I found that a lot of the superintendents were using Google Earth and making markups and stuff in there. So just having this platform kind of be all encompassing, you know, is really powerful.
That's great.
Yeah, especially because they get to use the actual model context with the Google Earth, you know.
Mm-hmm.
Yeah, and the other project that we have going in cmBuilder, those guys are planning upwards of like $1 billion right now. Unfortunately, I wasn't able to share that one, but I'll show you guys a little snippet, give you a little teaser.
Nice.
But yeah, so this is you know, this is what we've been able to put together so far, and again, it's huge value when we're in meetings with, you know, owners, stakeholders. A picture is 1,000 words, so definitely very happy to be you know, a part of the program.
Fantastic.
And let me show you guys. So this is the other project that we're currently doing that's also in cmBuilder. We have it broken up into about 50 phases. So there's 50 of those different views. And on this job, the main thing that's been kind of a focus is really the traffic control. So on this other job with Saddleback, it's more of the utilities and kind of the safety aspect. On this project here, where we're doing a couple tower hotels, the city is, you know, very concerned about road closures and stuff like that. So this is just an example of how we're, you know, demonstrating that and able to you know, move forward.
Looks great. Well, thanks, Waldemar. I know that we talked at our previous event we had last year. We talked about Superintendent 2.0, which is, you know, the digital enabled superintendent. It's really inspiring to see you and your team, what you guys are doing. I know with your other markets we're talking with is the same thing. It's a lot of driven from the field, driven from the supers, and using these digital tools to plan better and deliver better for the client. So really exciting. Thanks for your presentation.
Anytime. Appreciate you guys.
Okay, great. So now we're going to pass it over to Karla from Graham. I don't know exactly all the details, but we looked at some more vertical construction, and then Karla's going to show maybe more civil or heavy civil and potential horizontal construction. So take it away.
Perfect. Thank you. Again, my name's Karla Firth. I'm with Graham Construction, been here 15 years, and we started using cmBuilder actually 2023. Used it for a year, but I think a group kind of had it and they were using it, but not to its fullest kind of capability. You know, I had reached out to cmBuilder about getting a license, and they said, hey, you already have one. Good old communication. But we started to really use it in May of this year. It's of 2024, started with a couple buildings, a couple infrastructure projects, and now I have over 30 projects using it. And it's from buildings to infrastructure to water projects, right to industrial. So the span of who can use it, what project can use it, it's whatever we can. And it replaced our process of the blue beams and, you know, getting in that 2D view and turning it to that 3D view and really creating some really great visuals, mostly for our proposal stages. So when we're looking to get that job and communicating to the client what kind of work we're going to do and what our plan is, we saw some huge success in that. So that's kind of how we started. For infrastructure, it's not the prettiest models because we're literally dealing with dirt and concrete, which is still great, but it's not that pretty. But the one I'm going to talk about is the I-405 in Kirkland in Washington. So I-405 freeway with 85th Street interchange, beautiful standard cloverleaf interchange. But they wanted to add more to it. They needed to update it. So we went from here, and we're going to eventually get to a project where we have full traffic for the I-405, free flow traffic for 85th Street, and on the second level, so there'd be a 3-level kind of tiered interchange. On the second level is a pedestrian kind of cyclist and transit user to get access to there. So a really, really complex job. Now, the issue that we ran into was the amount of restrictions we had on road closures. So most clients, you know, no one likes traffic. And then, of course, we throw in construction, and that's going to cause even more headaches for us. So we really only could shut down traffic when we could at night. So at night, we were allowed to shut down the lane. And then, so we needed to use that window to install the girders. So I'm going to jump into it. So again, it's not the prettiest kind of model. I know I wish I could show some of our other views where we're having more layout. I literally use this project specifically just for logistics. Can I make this work? Can I do it? Is it going to be feasible? Because I didn't have time to bring out the crane, physically go out in the field, understand where the swing radius, is it going to work? Is it going to conflict anything above or below it? Is it going to reach? I had to get it on site at the specific location right at 7 p.m. because I needed to get these girders up in the time span that we had. So here is this, so allowing us to actually throw in our girders. We went out, modeled the infrastructure of this project, threw in our girders, and allowed us to understand, can this reach, is this going to make work? Where do we need to set up the crane for it to reach from one girder to the next? The next part, again, was over here. We weren't able to get girders from this side, and we couldn't reach. It wasn't going to work because we had to move the crane over. So we had to get the girders down here, which is really cool because we end up using, we went out and we scanned, or we did a laser scan, or a drone, not a laser scan, a drone of the flight or of the area, brought that data in, created that as like our earth or as our structure. Like that's what we're going to, have these trucks drive down. Does that work digitally? Can we have that go down? Can he drive that? So it was kind of gave us a really good understanding of how these trucks can go when you have this huge girder on the back of it. So that kind of gave us a little bit more feasibility, and does this work? So that was kind of here in the next part, and I'll just jump into the next milestone. We did the exact same thing on the other side. Okay, we've done it on one side. Can we make it work on the other? Again, having it staged on the front for the first side of the girders, and then same thing on the back, allowing that crane to move. Can this go down? Is this going to work? And it did. Not only did we have to show this to a client, we had to prove to the client that in this 12-hour period, we are confident that our plan's going to work. And having cmBuilder, it was huge on just showcasing that and communicating that to the client, because again, 2D, really great, but 3D takes it to another level. The understanding is so much better. especially when you have not live equipment, but equipment that's to scale and that you're going to use, and it's there. You can move it to where it needs to be. So it really helped us out at that part. So that was one section. Again, it's not that very pretty, but we used it it was a tool for us. I use it more for a proposal stage, make it look pretty, make that look good. But here it was like, okay, let's get to the nuts and bolts, and does this work? So that's what we used it for. Last, I know I'm kind of running out of time a little bit, but last one we did was this right here was actually very interesting. So girders actually lie. I'm just going to flip to the next one. So girders lie here. Now we were thinking the abutments were built, and we were going to put the girders, because as we build the abutments, then you're going to do the girders, and then you're going to continue the slab, right? But this actually, there was a wing wall that's on here, and the wing wall had anchors. So it actually, one of the supers was like, well, hang on, if we put the girders, are we going to be able to get the drill underneath the girders and then to the location of the anchor locations to drill it? And just throwing, which was like a 13-minute, or maybe 13-second exercise to draw in this equipment, place it to where it needed to be. And sure enough, we were able to prove that we couldn't. We needed to put, we had to drill for the anchors first, and then we can put the girder. So something that's like, oh, hey, you know what? Can we do this quickly? Something that's really simple, can throw it in, do your checks, instead of, bringing in or hauling in that one drill to install it. So yeah, it's not the prettiest project just because it's, again, dirt and concrete. However, the logistics of it, the planning of it was just phenomenal. And it took this job and just gave us that reassurance for our client, for us, even for the field crews, for them to know what they had to do in the next 12 hours. So that's my presentation. I hope you enjoyed it. Javier, off to you.
Thank you, Karla. That was fantastic. I love the enthusiasm every time.
Sorry, I have like arms and shaking.
It's great. It's great. And I always find these, like those horizontal projects like that, just the logistic challenges are just amazing. We take it for granted when we drive over those overpasses of everything that goes into building it. So that's awesome. And a neat to see like more of a meat and potatoes example of value, of like proving that you can or can't do something that was usually in the heads of a superintendent or someone that's trying to think through these things. So that's fantastic. Thank you.
Awesome.
Okay, we went to sunny Southern California, went up to the Pacific Northwest. Now we're going to drop all the way down into Brazil now for the next one. I'm always amazed when I talk with our customers around the world around means and methods and how people build in different locations like Japan versus North America versus Brazil. And I feel like it's such a great way to learn. So excited to see what you have for us. Lucas, take it away.
Thank you, Javier. My name is Lucas Fukuda. I'm an architect coordinator and the manager of Reta Engenharia. We recently completed 30 years of existence, and the project I'm gonna cast today. So Reta Engenharia is a consultancy company. Yeah, we deliver solutions from feasibility studies such as this one that I'm gonna present to full implementation of industrial and corporate projects. So I'm gonna show today this is an existing building from one of our clients. It's a public sector client. And we decided to divide in two different cases because it's two different schedules. Then would be easier to update the dates. So first of all, I'm going to show this south block. I'm not going to pass through all the milestones because it's nearly 150 if you combine both. I'm just going to show what actually cmBuilder helped us to define where would be the construction site, all the other installations that will support construction. Unfortunately, my presentation is in Portuguese, so you'll have to believe in what I'm saying here. And the existing building has some structures that we would have to disassemble. So we used a lot of the library from cmBuilder, such as this crane truck. And we explain how we're gonna disassemble. This is an interesting part that we should start the demolishing. And we saw that our pile drivers, they didn't have the enough height to do this kind of reinforcement with tile backs. So we're gonna use part of the terrain to give ramps and the necessary elevation for this. On this site, we will have a 14-level building and 6-level underground. So we have to reinforce this existing wall to be able to excavate. And excavation was the main challenge of this terrain because we are in the center of the city. There will be a lot of logistic complexity involved. So with cmBuilder, we showed how we're gonna reinforce the wall and start doing the excavation. And here we're showing how the construction site, which is in the other part of the building, communicates with the construction part. So it's an underground connection. So this is the construction site. And then we start demolition. So we're going to use this jackhammer to demolish part of the existing wall. That's why it had to be reinforced prior to this. And we saw that we have to think also about the cage host foundation. So where we're going to position, we're going to use the same equipment. So this is an economic benefit that we saw. So we're starting to locate where's the ramp and the main retaining wall that's going to position. Here we saw that we're going to use part of the dirt to make a temporary platform because here is going to be the foundation of the crane, and the equipment only from this side wouldn't have the total capacity to do all the foundations piles. So this is a temporary solution that we have to anticipate, and cmBuilder helped us. Also, where the concrete pump will be located. So excavation will be a little bit slower because we are conditioned by the these pile drivers, these anchored tiebacks. So it can happen more fast in the middle, leaving the necessary height for this equipment to make the piles. And we have also these excavators piling up the trucks. And we're gonna have, this will be an 8 months solution, and all the trucks will gather here. So we're showing our client logistics. And since it's 6 underground levels, this will repeat until the 11th level. So this kind of ramp, it will only get higher, deeper, and we will remove it with this long reach excavator. cmBuilder helped us to choose each of the equipments, and they influence in our planning and in our budgeting. We saw that when this activity happens, we have to make a temporary access for all the workers, so it won't have, because of safety issues. And then we're gonna assemble the main crane. Here we saw that we have to remove the aerial infrastructure for electricity. And then we have a special kind of crane, which needs to be built 80 meters above ground, above this building, because we don't have enough space to position the crane. So we will have to stop traffic for 2 weekends to assemble this crane using this special mobile crane. And we'll have to remove other equipments that were finalizing some activities underground. So we're starting to pour the concrete from the foundation. And this will repeat for the 6 levels. And this is an interesting case, benefits that we brought to the project, because this crane is a special kind of crane. And this column, the steel column, prior our study, it was 9 meters height. So it was really heavy. We didn't have enough space here to gather all the columns and to assemble them. We asked for an alteration into the design. So the 9th height column, which demanded a 12 long truck, which is very complex to move around the city, now it's 6 meter high, so it's lighter. And we can also assemble them faster because the connection, we changed the welded joint of the columns to a flanged and bolted connection. So before it was 3 days to complete each floor. Now in 1 day we can assemble the whole floor. So that is a very economical gain in time and budgeting. So this will repeat the pouring the concrete of the slab, the positioning of the steel structure, and this will repeat for 14th level. I'm gonna jump a little bit because there's a lot of detail that we were managed to give to this study, feasibility study. One thing that I want to show you guys is the positioning of the cage host, because as you see, the building is almost the size of the quarter here, and this was the only place where we have access to the underground. So with bobcats we can use to transport some materials, and we can use it to the fullest of capacity to transport material to all the levels here. And I'm gonna jump a little bit further. It's a very tall building, 14 level. We saw also how we're gonna disassemble the crane. We study is the same crew. And other things of the building we have to position with this telescopic handler, this steel stair. Also this pedestrian catwalk, where we're gonna position the equipment, everything. The library from cmBuilder helped us. This is a swinging stages. We will have one at each face of the building. I understand in North America you run with this because of extreme climates. Here not so much. We have more stable climate, so we're gonna do this. And the other building is right here on the construction site. This is the existing building, but we were gonna use as a construction site. After we finalize the underground levels here, it will be transferred underground. So it's a little bit similar. We have to prepare the site. We have to drill all the piles. We have to think about the foundation of the cage hoist at this stage so we can optimize the equipment's position. And we're gonna run with the excavation from the middle, leaving heights for the tile backs here. Here we saw that the terrain, it has a kind of a different level, so we have to mobilize this equipment again. And here we saw that there's another retaining wall that we have to excavate, and this will be a good milestone to think about that. So we're gonna pour the concrete from the street, and we're gonna use the excavation with also the anchored tiebacks happening combined. There are different companies working together, so if they understand how they can be orchestrated through planning, then we can achieve the goals of the site. So here is 3-level underground. We're gonna use again the long reach to remove this kind of dirt ramp. And then we're gonna also pour the concrete. Here we don't have steel columns, it's more conventional concrete structure. We saw in cmBuilder when we are in the 3rd level some spatial constraint for the connection here with the existing and the new building. So for example, here is a good time to think about assembling this steel structure. If we wait the building to reach the tallest part, we won't have space to do this. So it's something that we anticipated using this kind of simulation. And another thing that help us to think about steel structuring is that on this part of the building, we have a huge auditorium with a capacity of 208 people. And this structure is for an elevated grandstand. So we decided to build it in 2 phases. the main structure of it, and only after we poured the concrete of the last slab that I'm going to show here, we can start assembling the rest of this elevated grandstand, because it's supported with the other levels of the building. So I cannot build it. It's important because I don't have enough space to store this material on site. So the construction company has to know this, that we should divide in 2 phases so we don't have issues during site. So this is when I finalized the construction of the elevated grandstand, and I have to pour some concrete on it as well. So we simulated this concrete pump, and also the steel structure of the roof here. So we are actually using 2 positions of this mobile crane. And cmBuilder helped us also to see if we could assemble shillers from other parts of the building. And also here, we will use a strategy of combining this crane truck and lifting beams. So we can position this stair, this kind of stair, and the other inside the building. We're gonna use this kind of strategy. And the same strategy for the facade, using the swinging stage for each part of the place. So this will be one of the main buildings of our city. If you count, is 120,000 square meters construction area. So it's really nice to have a platform that really can help us get the fullest of the details of our planning and our cost estimations, right? So this is what I wanted to show today.
Lucas, that was fantastic. Thank you. You were cooking there. I didn't want to. No one wanted to cut you off because you're rolling. That was fantastic, and I know it was one of the biggest jobs in your area. One question before we dive into Shannon. Lufat asks, did you create the excavation that we showed in Revit or inside cmBuilder?
Inside cmBuilder. We didn't have a detailed project for this excavation, so it was fundamental to use this kind of tool to define where's the logistics of the excavation.
Fantastic. That was awesome. Thank you for that. All right, bat and cleanup. Shannon, heading back to the Midwest.
I don't know if I can top that. That was impressive. I don't know if this is even fair, Javier. I don't know what I was getting myself into after that.
Hey, so everyone's killing it today. No, go ahead. Why don't you bring us home, and then we'll open up the roadmap and show some stuff. Take it
great.
away.
Thank you again for having me here. Again, I'm Shannon DeVon. I'm the Director of Virtual Design and Construction at Shiel Sexton. I don't have that detailed of a project to kind of leverage, but I'm going to kind of talk about who we are, why we decided to go with Shiel or with cmBuilder, and then kind of just show how we've started to get into it. So again, I've been in construction for 23 plus years. I grew up in construction, went to Purdue, like Javier said. Most of my life in construction has been in the pre-con side. I am the director here, so I've kind of been in VDC for 15 plus years. I've kind of seen all the bells and whistles of all the tools out there for use. Most of our construction here at Shiel Sexton is in the Midwest area, mostly in Indiana. We focus on hospitals, offices, labs, industrial, K-12, retail, hotels, vertical construction, arenas, sporting events, that kind of thing. We are an ESOP, which is a great feature to have at a company, and we're about $550 million a year in revenue as a GC and CM. I've seen a lot of different tools. I typically don't get behind a software vendor. So Javier, thank you for, talking me into it. But, with what cmBuilder has done and how they're reacting to the market and with the tool set that they have out here right now, it was hard not to accept Javier's invitation to do this. He's put together a great team. We've worked with Cal and Pedro and others over there. So I just want to say thank you for continuing to push construction technology in the right direction and doing it the correct way. I'm sure a lot of you online have seen other tools out there that, say one thing, and then really when it gets into it, when you start asking for help and improvements, it just doesn't quite get there, or they say it's on the list and the list is however long, right? So again, I just wanted to say a quick thank you for what you're doing. My department here, there's only 5 of us here, so I'm sure you guys online, or maybe not, I don't know who's online right now, but if you're considering getting into cmBuilder, I've looked at a lot of different project planning tools, animation tools. Really the tried and true we've used here internally is Navisworks, Timeliner. And then as far as site logistics by itself, it's just getting everything into Google Earth via SketchUp and Revit. So I really like what you guys have done with the SaaS platform. It's an easy entry level for, maybe non-BIM people, if you will. I'm sure there's a lot of BIM people here. We have a lot of excited superintendents here that have really wanted to engage on the platform and get into it and own the project planning process with little to minimal help from either us or really the cmBuilder team. They've really just kind of owned the job and got in there and just figured it out. And it's an easy platform to figure out. It really is, just like anything. The more you do it, the better you're going to get at anything. But really, that's kind of where we're at. We're a full BIM service team here. We leverage all of the bells and whistles that everybody else has mentioned: 360 photos, drones, scanning. So really, we have a solid team here to help support that. We will obviously engage in getting into, the cmBuilder platform as well, and being that strong resource internally. But just kind of giving you a quick shout out and how us as a mid-sized company has really kind of seen the light and kind of jumped on board with the platform. With that being said, kind of getting into it. Let me share my screen here. So really, we've just kind of got into it. We've really just started getting into project planning. Most of our jobs are at the pre-con or very early stages of project construction, site construction. So really getting into it, understanding the flow of pedestrian traffic. This is on a college campus in downtown Indianapolis. And really there's a heavy pedestrian area. So really this kind of, on this project, we focused in on really just making sure we had site control barriers in place to help minimize student activity around the site as much as possible. So again, just kind of going through, showing traffic flow, how we're going to barricade, how we're going to enter construction traffic, how it's going to leave the site, and just really getting that initial project planning in here, showing the owner the flow of how we plan on protecting the site. And I really like the easy use of this and just being able to have the flexibility. The moving parts and pieces are the Hollywood BIM that really kind of sets this apart from a lot of the other things. If you've done a lot of Navisworks, which I've spent a lot of time in Navisworks, you really don't have these bells and whistles, and this really kind of brings the tool to the light here, really kind of just showing more than just a still image. Like everyone said, pictures worth 1,000 words, right? So really just kind of getting through here and really showing the different parts and pieces of how we plan on really kind of constructing this project. This is going to be a 15-story mixed use classroom and dorm for the new Purdue Indianapolis campus, which is split off from IUPUI, which is Indiana University, Purdue University, Indianapolis. So they've kind of gone 2 different ways there. They split and they've created 2 separate campuses here. So this is really Purdue's first building on the campus here. So really just kind of getting in here, showing how we're going to protect everything. I did not take this nearly as to the level as you've seen some of these others here. We're not quite there yet. We're getting there. But really, it's been really exciting just to see some of our other superintendents really wanting to see the resources and the ease of access to actual parts and pieces that are going to be the tools and the resources being used to create the project and build the project. Seeing the pumps and getting the concrete trucks in here and all the different parts and pieces, seeing the radiuses, being able to understand if it's going to actually work with the tools being, or the pieces of equipment being requested, has been a huge gain for us in the confidence builder that our superintendents are really excited about. And really, that's kind of why we've really jumped on board with this platform. And we're excited to see, how far we can take this. These webinars here, just seeing how everybody else has leveraged it has gotten me going with a lot of different ideas. So I appreciate the opportunity to speak. I really don't have much more to show. I don't think I can outdo what has already been shown. But again, that's kind of our story. We're not even a year into the platform, and we're looking forward to what lies ahead with it.
That's great. Thank you, Shannon. Time to value, right? That's always something we talk about. So it's great your team just latched onto this and growing, and some great use cases. I also like from the product perspective, you can see just you're using the textures on zones and making it pop in the presentation. I know you whipped up that Revit model in no time and just dumped it in there to be able to build out. So the speed and time to value is fantastic. So thank you for your presentation.
Appreciate it.
But we're gonna spend the last 14 minutes here, maybe 13 minutes. Showing some of our stuff. So Cal, get locked and loaded. Before we do that, I'm just gonna share my screen for a second because not everyone knows everything about who we are. So just like if you're not sure, cmBuilder is fully web-based solution. So it's all running in the browser. Everything you saw today. We launched it in September of 2020. We've got about 320 customers, over 10,000 projects done to date. Some of them that you saw today, which are fantastic. Very global customer base, about 65% is North America, but lots outside of North America, which is great to see customers doing things in other parts of the world. And we're really proud that we have over 50 educational institutions on the platform too. So we have an academic program where we help support the curriculum for engineering students going through construction engineering or whatever. And then they go out into the world and hopefully have those skills that they can bring to their workplace. So that's a little bit about what the platform is all about. Cal, go ahead and share your screen. Instead of just showing you slides of things we plan to do in the near future, we're going to attempt to turn it into a story. So Cal is a superintendent. He's got to plan a job. I'm maybe one of his sub trades. He can beat me up on site. Just kidding. No one would ever do that. Right, Wally? No, you never beat up a sub trade. Just kidding. Just joke. So we're going to work through this. The first thing we want to talk about is just the ease of use of adding your model. So you added RVT support, IFC. We have geolocation in there. So if you have geolocation already in the model and you have your geolocation set up inside the project, it will geolocate in the position that it needs to be based on the EPGS code or whatever it is. But right now, first thing we're going to do is we're just going to dump in a structural model. Okay, so throw it in there. All right. So even if it's not geolocated, like in this case, very easy to position a model. So you can just use a local reference from a drawing, or or just that overlay from the satellite view. Position the model with coordinates. Now, one thing as Cal's doing this, he's going to locate the structural model, and if you have additional models, architectural models, MEP models, you can snap the models to the first one. So if you don't have it geolocated from the file, you can just locate a model and snap all of them to there, okay? So you get the idea. So for those who don't know, you just got Revit models or SketchUp or BIM models from the design team, you just dump them in there, right? So let's switch to the next one, Cal. So now we're gonna do a bit of a 6-week look ahead, right? So we're gonna do a micro simulation. So we got that model, we've got maybe a drone flight. Thank you, Ben, who's on the call for some of this data that we were using to death. Okay, so we have this simulation where we need to think about how we're going to plan the next 6 weeks of work. And with that, Cal, why don't you take it away and think about working through a bit of a plan here and what you're trying to show with a schedule, pour breaks, all that kind of good stuff.
Yeah, absolutely. So what we have here so far is just like a preliminary schedule. You can think this could be for a tender for your initial schedule. But as you start thinking about this job a little bit further, you kind of got to think about doing pour breaks, getting the quantities of the concrete you need on a particular day, as well as just the more nitty gritty of the how you're going to pump the concrete, which might not be relevant for a tender. So what I'm going to do here is first just split the concrete into different pour breaks, and we use this to plan. Actually, first I'll create the milestones. My apologies. But yeah, I'll just open up my schedule here on the right side, and I'm just going to break all of these pours from my preliminary schedule into 2 different breaks. I'm just creating these milestones natively inside the platform rather than linking it with a schedule, which we will do after the fact. But we have our pour slab on grade, and just select 3 dots, add milestone before.
While you do that, Cal, I'll talk so that you don't have to worry about talking and clicking. So the use case here is that you may start with a preliminary schedule, but the superintendent now has to take, say, a structural model from a structural engineer that's not split in any way, shape, or form, and start thinking about micro planning around pour breaks and stuff like that. So what Cal's going to do is it allows you just to quickly add manual milestones, right? So say, okay, let's take the slab on grade and let's turn it into 3 milestones, or 2 milestones, let's say, right? So just adding manual milestones. So now we have a linked schedule plus some manual milestones, and we're teasing what the new feature is going to come soon. So stay tuned.
Awesome. So now I'll jump through. I have those 3 milestones, just breaking it up into 3 different pour breaks. So I'm just going to jump up to, it doesn't really matter to tell you the truth. I'll jump up to L3 columns, and I'm just going to select my structural model, right click, edit BIM model. I'm going to show off the new split feature just to plan out our pour breaks. I can hop into our split functionality and say yes, split elements. First thing we got to do is just select the objects we need to split. A bunch of different ways to do that. I'm not going to dive into all those right now. We can use the tree. I'm just going to do a selection trap vertically through the model. And we have 4 slabs selected, we can see. For the splitting object, we can now just create our sketch, which is going to define the split. I'm going to create that right on the L3 slab. Interesting, we could have made a vertical sketch to split columns. Often structural engineers won't split their model, so that's very useful in that application. And we can do this split however we like, of course. We're just doing a bit of a unique little jag there. And as typical, you're going to want to actually position these lines based off 3D elements. So I'm going to take that line, I'm just going to snap it to the edge of this column. So it's going to be perfectly flush with the vertical elements of our concrete pours. Oops. There we go. And we'll make that one a little bit farther out here. And also when we're thinking about our pump truck or our placing boom placement, or maybe a tower crane, a hoist, whatever the case might be, we need to plan for slab openings. So I'm also just going to create a small slab opening, which we will extend our climbing placing boom throughout our construction project. We then select confirm, get a little preview of those slabs, and select confirm there.
Yeah, so the big use case here is like it's a big thing with the way BIM models are created for the purposes of design versus the purposes of construction. Previously, you had to kind of go split things outside of cmBuilder. Now you'll be able to just split directly in your browser, split the slabs into any way you want. And then the next thing we're releasing, hopefully in the next few weeks, is that if you do model revisions, say through the integration of ACC or otherwise, right now it doesn't propagate. You have to resplit, but coming soon it will keep the history. So if you update with this a new model, it's actually going to keep the same splits, right? And then also allowing you to split open geometry, so like imported drone scans or survey data. So right now it only works on closed geometry in BIM models for V1. V2 coming soon, you'll be able to split meshes and like remove the ground from, say, a drone mesh or something like that. So you don't have to do that elsewhere in another software.
Perfect. So I'm just going through and resequencing these elements. Of course, we have more slab elements than we had before. So I'm just going to sequence those in with our new schedule, so we can get that pour break sequence that we're looking for. That one in here. And just for the sake of now, I'm just going to hide these placing boom slab chunks from our model. And just easy as that, we can hop through our simulation now and see the sequenced north-south pour breaks along with that placing boom opening. Now that we have that completed, we can actually, just for the sake of the storyline, let's see we're planning this real time. We're creating our pour breaks, getting the quantities from that. Our scheduling department, on the meantime, is updating our schedule. So once they've created that, we can now relink those milestones we've already created to the updated schedule. And that kind of allows both departments, scheduling and the superintendent in this use case, to work independently and kind of merge their work as they go forward. So we have that same sort of sequence built out here with that level 1, level 2. What we can do is we can just go into our project schedule, We can scroll down just to prove we have our north slab on grade, our L1 north not linked, and this is based off our preliminary schedule. I can really quick go into update schedule, upload file. I'm going to bring in our new updated construction schedule. This is the same schedule that's been updated, so all the pairing IDs match. I don't have to get too into the nitty gritty. And we can just scroll down to our concrete pours and see that we have these new north pour slab on grade, which I'll just add in, our north pour L1 and our north pour L2. I think there's actually a slab infill as well. Yeah, oh, that one's already brought in. We can now select next. We just scroll down through, and this is the new schedule integration feature where we can actually link existing milestones to new tasks from our schedule. So we see we have our north pour slab on grade. We can just drop this list down and link it to the correct task. So we can then update the schedule going forward as inevitably dates change or there's delays on site. We can just relink this to the schedule, and all these dates are going to update automatically going forward now.
So I'm going to talk while you click through those. So basically the use case here is you got a plan, there's a schedule. Well, the super gets involved, the PX gets involved, and they start breaking down that into a smaller plan or more detailed plan. The big feedback we got from planning department is, hey, it'd be nice to be able to send that back out from cmBuilder to the scheduling department, tie that into a master schedule, and that's great. So now you can currently do that, but coming back into cmBuilder to make sure that those two are linked and properly updated was the new feature, right? So this is a bunch of new stuff coming on schedule integration and like the 4D side of things, but that's what we're showing today. So next, Cal, we gotta think about how we're gonna tie this into a simulation and make it pop, just like Karla was saying in those pursuits and those early planning to make the client look good. What's new in terms of presentation mode visuals?
We got growth profiles, which is a pretty handy tool to show concrete or any element for that matter. I like it best for concrete to be growing during the milestone. And we can apply that to any elements. So what I'll do is I'm just gonna click on our entire structural model. Oh, I actually have already searched slab, so it just selects the slabs from our structural model. I can just right click, edit BIM element, and again, you could apply this to any model element. We can go into presentation visuals, and we can set different rules. So either new construction is going to be applying this rule to anything on the first milestone. It appears demolition will be the last milestone. You guys are probably familiar with the highlight color where it's going to show up as green, that first milestone. However, now we have the addition of growth profiles, so we can have it grow vertically or grow horizontally or grow downwards, depending on what the use case is, of course. For our slabs, you're going to go growing horizontally and leave that on. I'll select done there. And I'm just going to put one on the columns as well. Using a keyword search, a million ways to select all the columns, but that's one easy way. Same idea, we're going to go new construction. Show that as green and growing up for the columns. So we also can throw in a placing boom. So I just threw that in our location where our slab opening was. And we can now just progress through these milestones. I'm just going to actually extend it as we grow our tower vertically. Of course, you can get much more creative with this and adding visual programming and some rotations as we go up.
We're running out of time, Cal. So let's figure out how we make the presentation and make it pop.
Perfect. Sounds good. So yeah, next thing we can do is we can actually. Is there something else I'm missing, or are we just sharing the link here?
Yeah, so I think show it in presentation mode. Actually, maybe you can generate show in presentation mode what it's going to look like. We'll share a link to you guys, so anyone on your side can actually run the link yourself, and then we'll talk a bit. We'll probably stay a couple minutes past the hour. Obviously, if you got to go, you can run. We'll talk a bit more about some of the link dashboards and improved commenting and the trench work. But hey, why don't you show what it looks like once it's in presentation mode?
Sounds good. I'm going to start midway through to save us the first couple of slides, and we can see those growth profiles coming up for the vertical elements and the horizontal elements growing left to right. And the green is optional. We can do the growth profiles without the green color, just depending on your preference.
Yeah, so it's just kind of like a presentation quality type thing where you can really start highlighting how things are going to be built, say from north to south, east to west, show progression throughout the milestone as opposed to just hide show, and just kind of bring that all to life. So maybe Cal, if you want to just share it, why don't you share that link to that and starting at that milestone right there. So before he does this, actually do it first if you don't mind. You share that link. And for those who don't know, in presentation mode, this is a little bit different, the UI here. So you can choose to share from just a certain milestone, or you can start from the beginning. So we're going to share it from that first milestone. You can share it in presentation mode. You can also customize the presentation mode link to have logos, colors, the timeline on the bottom. So there's a bunch of stuff you can do with that. But if Cal pops this in the chat, this is a link that we can this is a link that can be accessed by anyone. So to answer Lufa, you can in that export share. There's also one to create a video. Okay, so if you want to click on that link there, you can let it load and run. It'll show you what it looks like. And then if you go back, coming soon as well, hopefully this week or next, if you click on export and share, we're adding the ability to have analytics on these shared links. So if you click that share dashboard there, yeah, so it's going to pop up all the links that have been shared on the project, when they've been accessed, when it expires. You may need to kill a link for any good reason. So let's just say you've shared a link that you don't want to have active anymore. Maybe the pursuit's over or something like that, and it was made an error. You should delete the link, and it just gives you some analytics on how that shared link is being used. So that's at the scenario level and at the project level as well. Cal can also quickly, if you go into the comments, maybe don't tag me just because we're running out of time, but we're adding the ability to have more like a thread like in the commenting. So, adding screenshots and saving camera angles and being able to make threads more in the commenting section. So if you haven't played around with commenting, I suggest giving it a shot. You can tag anyone that has access to your company by just tagging them. And then and then you can just kind of work through those kind of, we call it asynchronous collaboration, right? So if you don't have ability to work in multiplayer mode at the given time, you have asynchronous collaboration there as well. And then actually we're condensing this a little bit than our perfect story where we had Cal. So we're off the script here, buddy. But let's talk about Cal. You just got a call from the owner. You're going to do district energy. You've already built half the structure, but now you got to tie into district energy. How are you going to do this?
Awesome. So we would have to do a trench for that. And we have some milestones already created conveniently around here. So we have our utility trench. Oops, we have a version that doesn't have the trench already in it. Basically, with the new trenching tool, you're just going to be able to use a center line to create a trench by defining the profile, whether you have sloped walls, the depth of that trench, and you also can apply a sloped bottom. So if you have your sanitary coming in, you're going to need to maintain a 2% slope or whatever the case might be. We can just go into our terrain excavation operations, and we can see this new trench functionality and click trench. I could sketch this yellow line. That would be a totally fine way to do it. However, I already have that yellow line, which I'll use for the actual utility route as well. So I can just project it as well, just to speed the process up a little bit. I can then select confirm with that center line I created. I can define the bottom of the trench. I can define the trench width. So maybe I'll just make it 5 feet.
And while you're doing this, there's some really interesting. So you can slope the bottom of the trench. The elegance of this is that you just sketch one polyline and it generates everything automatically. So if you were using our existing excavation to do trenches, it was a bit tedious because you kind of got to everything had to be closed to do the excavation. Whereas this is just based on a polyline, and then it's just all parametric from there. So it's really, really, really slick. Grab your trench boxes. So yeah, just if this I used to, when I was spending some time on site, this was something that came up very commonly. It's like, okay, we're using district energy. You need to show how you're going to tie into an existing building coming off the street and stub in, and what are the logistics around that. You have to do some excavation, you have to do traffic management, and this just makes it really fast and easy just to store that then and go from there. So we had planned to do this and then have you refresh your column and all that stuff, but it didn't. We ran out of time. So yeah, that's kind of the what's new, what's next around this kind of workflow at the moment. We have plenty of other things that we're working on, but this is what we intended to show today. So it's a bunch of schedule improvements, more improvements to the split functionality, keeping the history log from revisions of models, splitting open meshes. We talked about the growth profile to be to just bring that simulation and make it pop as opposed to just hide show. And we talked about commenting and improving our whole collaboration workflow. We didn't talk about it today, but we're also going to have we call it advanced duplicate. So if you have multiple scenarios, one person's using one scenario, one's using another scenario, you'll be able to group, like last we select a bunch of stuff and just copy it into another scenario. So that'll be able to save a lot of time. If you have like two scenarios going in parallel, you get to the end, you realize you're going to go with plan A, but you don't have to reproduce some of that work you liked in plan B. You'll be able to just push it over. And then the share link dashboard. So just both from controlling links, but also controlling the analytics around what you're sharing. Okay, well, we're well over our time here. So thank you so much. There is a few questions. If our panelists, if you guys need to get running, no worries. But I'll stay a little bit longer. We'll answer some questions. So is the growth simulation live available now? So no, Deshka it's in its final QA. We hope that will be live within the next. Is Shane on this call? Is our product manager? He might slap me. They never want to overpromise, but in the next few weeks, hopefully. So like usually when it hits to this stage QA, it's like we're in the final steps of just making sure that there's no bugs and it's not being broken, all that kind of good stuff. Our CTO has checked in and says sometime in 2025. Yeah. What else you got? Oh, good. So we have some of the team that's. Can you click on a pipe to create that polyline for the yeah? Do you want to answer that one, Cal? So I think you showed it a little bit with the projection of the sketch, right?
Yeah, absolutely. You can project any resource. Something I actually would recommend doing. You can use the pipe resources, but actually just using the 3D lines is a great way to model pipes as well. If they're not projected on the terrain, you can put them at whatever elevation. You can change the diameter, and then you can have a bit more customization on the color just for a representative pipe. But absolutely, we can hop into our resources, look up pipe. There might not be descriptive enough, but grab this 108. Same thing, just use that project function, select that line, and create the pipe that way.
Yeah. Pipes and slopes of pipes is a tricky one to handle in our resources for many technical reasons, which we won't get into. So depending on the level of granularity you need to go in, just doing a 3D line like that and control is often will, and especially if you're just going to draw a call out and say, hey, here's where the existing civil is and that we have to be careful not to dig into. You probably don't need all that detail, right? You just need to be able to have it graphically displayed. A few other questions here. Yeah, got some people commenting on setting up templates, which is helpful. So while you're there, can you click on the help section? All these we get amazing ideas from our community of users, but if you have some of these ideas coming from today, we have feature requests. So if you go to the help section, you can plop them in there. We look at every single one of these. You might get a message from myself or Shane, our product manager, or other people asking questions. Feedback is a gift. We're very open to that feedback, and we put that in our backlog, and we try to tally the things people want the most and use it to drive our product roadmap. So please do throw some stuff in there. That's great. I think there's one more question here. Is there an ability to share a presentation link to share as an embedded element on a smart sheet dashboard? So not if you mean like a so you can have a link in a smart sheet that just plays in a browser, right? But embedded inside to run inside smart sheet, I think would need some sort of iframe or some sort of integration with smart sheet. So cmBuilder won't run inside smart sheet, similar to our Procore integration. If anyone's used our Procore integration, you can actually run cmBuilder inside Procore, without leaving Procore. That would be like a native integration. We don't have that for smart sheet, but you can just share one of those links that anyone in your project users can just click on that link. It'll take it into a new browser tab, but it'll run directly from there, and you'll always have the latest version. So I think this is the one you shared, right, Cal? Is that the scenario you shared?
This one, I believe.
Okay, so you didn't add it.
Yeah.
So in theory, it's always getting the latest version, right? So if you share a link and you're making changes, you refresh that link, you get the latest version. All right, let's do one more, and then we'll wrap it. Are we able to see other people's requests? Yes, actually, I think, just not the individual people, but we will pop in our roadmap. Nikon, if you don't mind popping a link to our roadmap here for Eric, or just send it to Eric, you can see what people are voting on and all that kind of good stuff. Okay, I think that's it. I think we'll wrap it. I just want to say on behalf of Karla, Lucas, Shannon, and Wally. Sorry, I saw in the chat people call you Wally. I should have gone with Wally instead of Waldemar. I wanted to say thank you so much for doing this. That was awesome. Like just talking shop. What a great community we have, and seeing the great cool projects you're building with cmBuilder, and thank you for the opportunity for us to show you about some of the stuff we're cooking up for the next versions. And every week we try to release and make the product better. And thank you, Shannon, for those kind words. And we take it to heart. It means a lot to us to hear you say that, because we really care about just making the product as good as it possibly can be, and just focusing on that. So thanks to everyone for joining, and we'll send out this recording in case you want to flip it to anyone else in your company, and we'll take it from there. Bye, everyone.
Thank you.
Thank you, guys. Bye-bye.
Thank you.